Hello, my name is still Michael Robert Henry and Posner, and I am now 28 years old. When I finished my last draw of my life, I was 26, and I ended the video promising the imminent release of my album Pages. This album Pages never came out. Why? What happened? Each song that I released following my first hit, Cooler Than Me, sold progressively less and less copies. My record label wisely decided to stop putting money behind my project, and I became what we call in the music industry a shelved artist. An artist with the record deal, with really no hope of putting a record out. I was stuck. And since I was stuck, I took one of the songs on Pages called Sugar, and we eventually put it on Maroon 5's album, which was really cool. But it still felt stuck. I was making art that I couldn't share with anyone, and all of this was compounded by the fact that as I failed to release new music, I was becoming less popular. Each month, each week, each day. Now you might say, what's the big deal about being less popular? After my first song, Cooler Than Me, became a big hit, my self-identity got very wrapped up in being young, rich, and famous. And all of a sudden, these words no longer applied to me. I felt emasculated, and I felt scared. That if I wasn't popular, if my song wasn't on the radio, that no one would like me. On a certain level, I was right. My phone rang less often, there were less interviews to conduct, and less concerts to play. And I found myself home, alone, with a lot of time on my hands. What I realized was, despite being less popular, I still really like to do music. So I practiced. I started to play the piano 4 hours a day. I picked up the guitar for the first time. And I studied singing with Valerie Morehouse and Dave Stroud. Now I can hit the high notes. In the music industry, my artist career was largely considered dead. I was called a one-hit wonder, and at the time, it was an accurate name. But I still really loved writing my own shit, so I kept doing it. One night, I was in the studio with a friend of mine named Jake Owen, who was a wonderful country singer and a wonderful human. And we were passing the guitar, which means that I would play a song I had just written, and then Jake would play a song he'd just written, and he'd pass the guitar back to me, etc., etc., into the LA night. So I played Jake an old tune of mine, and he said, "Mike, I love that song. What inspired the lyrics?" It's about a girl I had a thing with in New York City. And I mixed her story up with a girl I had a thing with in Ohio. And some of it I just made up. But I'll never forget, he looked me in the eye and he said, "Why don't you just tell the truth?" And I didn't have an answer for him. Why was I telling stories in my songs? Why was I making things up? I thought that my life was boring because I'd lived it already, so talking about it was like watching the movie for a second time. But I realized that no one else had seen my movie, and there was a benefit to sharing my story. So that night, I was on an airplane, and I wrote a song called "I Took a Pill in Ibiza," because I did. I was telling the truth. I produced the song the way I heard it in my head, which was stripped down, the lyrics out front, with an acoustic guitar. Excited about telling the truth, I wrote an entire album in this style. I released 4 of the songs last summer on an EP called The Truth. This EP in no way replicated the success of my first album in 2010. There was no Cooler Than Me type hit, But I was happy that I was putting new music out and sharing. It was around this time that I read a book by Amanda Palmer called The Art of Asking. I learned a lot of things from this book, but maybe most importantly, I learned what my job is. Prior to reading The Art of Asking, as much as I'd like to deny it, my goals were mainly to stay afloat in the music industry, stay relevant, and stay popular, so people like me. But Palmer explained, an artist's job is not too different from a psychiatrist's job, in that they take on their own suffering and try to transform it into something beautiful. That's my job. Take on my suffering, take on yours, and make art out of it. I never knew that before. I was using the art to serve myself, as opposed to using the art to serve others. Another thing I learned from Amanda Palmer was the concept of the ninja show. A ninja show is a free concert that you put on for your fans in a public place. Amanda used to do these, and I think she still does. If her main concert would sell out, she would tweet for the fans that didn't get tickets that she'd be playing for free in a park somewhere at 5 p.m. before the main show at 9. Well, I read her book, and then I read On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and I sort of smashed the two together. And I thought, what if there was no main show that sold out? What if we just did the free ninja shows? So my friends and I, Jeffrey Brandt, Adam Friedman, and Super Matt Chatney, we rented an RV and drove across America playing free ninja shows for people. You see, in a normal concert, there's systems and protocols in place to keep you separate from your fans. Even the word fans is very divisive. It's short for fanatic, right? There's a negative connotation to that. And when you play a concert, you're standing higher than everyone else. You're on a stage. There's a barricade. There's usually security. There's a back door, etc., etc. A million things in place to make sure you don't have to touch any one of the icky fans, right? The crazy fans. On a ninja tour, which is what we called our voyage, our odyssey, we put systems and protocols in place to make sure we were as close as possible to the people supporting us. We would let the fans pick where we played, because we didn't know the cities or the parks. And we would ask them for food. You know, if we were low on turkey or water, we'd say, hey, we need turkey and water. And the fans would bring it to us in spades. We never went hungry. They gave us couches to sleep on, showers to clean ourselves with, and most of all, love and hugs. Maybe the best part of the ninja tour was it was small enough that I got to meet every single person after each show. And when you have a microphone in front of your face, you feel like you should be saying something. You fill up silence with words even if the words have no meaning. But sometimes when you're an artist, the most important thing you can do is shut up and listen. I had to listen on the Ninja Tour and really hear how the songs that I had written had touched people. Some of them had lyrics tattooed on their bodies that I had written. I didn't know. I was always too far away, too high up on the stage. I finished the Ninja Tour and I started to crave a simpler life. I was making less money than I had in the past, so I figured I should live a little simpler. I sold my cars. I had 2 cars. One was a douchey Porsche. And I bought a creepy Dodge conversion van with a bed in the back. I packed all my stuff up, donated my copious Jordan collection, and drove away from LA with no plans of returning. I went to Utah where I had a lot of friends, grew a big beard, went to Burning Man, and sort of vagabonded for 5 or 6 months. I was happy. I was living in the mountains. I had enough money saved up to not get a real job. And I was making music. I felt like my identity was no longer tied up in the words young, rich, and famous. I felt grateful and mindful and blessed. And in the back of my mind, I thought it's easy to feel grateful, mindful, and blessed in the mountains. It'd be an excellent challenge to see if you could be grateful, mindful, and blessed while being really popular. And that may sound like a cop-out, like it's just, you just really want everyone to love you again. And that's probably true on some level. But on another level, I really wanted the challenge. Hey, can you be happy and famous at the same time? Because I had failed the first time. I was famous and unhappy. But little did I know, I was gonna get the opportunity to test myself sooner than I believed. A Norwegian duo named CB remixed my song, I Took a Pill in Ibiza. And while I was in the mountains with my big beard, one of my managers texted me that this song was the #1 song in Norway. I thought that's peculiar. And then it was the #1 song in Sweden and Amsterdam, etc. It started to spread, finally coming to the United States. Now, there's a lyric in I Took a Pill in Ibiza in the second verse, and it says, I'm just a singer who already blew his shot. I get along with old timers, cause my name's a reminder of a pop song people forgot. That was the truth when I wrote it. Well, it seems that the writing of this lyric has given me another shot. It's an impossibly ironic situation. And I'm starting to get popular again. My phone's ringing more. There are more interviews to conduct and more shows to play. And sometimes I get tired. I'm not sure if I can be happy and popular at the same time. But I'm doing my best. I'm doing a pretty damn good job. Most days I feel pretty happy, grateful, mindful, and blessed. Now, I'm sure I'm gonna fuck up somewhere along the way and make a bunch of huge mistakes. So on this journey, I'm gonna try to continue singing from my heart, which means making the music that I hear in my head and not really giving a shit about what they play on the radio or not. That feels right to me. And that's scary. It's unpredictable. So in return, I would ask for your patience, your compassion, and your love. Dear God, give me your love.